sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce and we just come from a cracking round 20 of AFL footy.
It's coming to the business side of things, Pairs, the end of the season, and the AFL has delivered the quality games, some upsets along the way, teams really making some finals noise, Pairs. It's round 20, loving footy at the moment.
Yeah, the biggest thing I want to speak about is the Sunday game, actually. It was Richmond versus Brisbane, and its first cab off the rank here, Sauce, and Brisbane came out on fire, kicked the first 6 goals and just dominated the Tigers on the MCG.
Yeah, they looked to beat that hoodoo, Pairs. Haven't won there in 10 years or whatever it is, and they're up by 42 points midway through the second quarter. They looked fantastic. Danaher was kicking goals. They had McCluggage, who was absolutely on fire. They looked unreal. They looked like no one was going to beat them, and finally they hit the right. Coming into finals, Pairs, they've hit the runway. They're lining up. They're getting ready for a big finals campaign, and then. Yeah.
And what happened? But
Jesus.
Richmond just were able to turn it around. Now, Shea Bolton, the biggest X factor, one of the biggest superstars in the AFL. And I'm reading a lot on Twitter that not a lot of fans like him for who he is and his personality and his quirkiness there. But him as a footballer and solely as an AFL footballer, I love watching him play and get about his business. And he led that Richmond midfield and forward line to a comeback.
Why don't they like him?
They think he's a bit of a dickhead, I reckon.
I love him. I think he's exciting to watch. I think that he, has the potential to be an absolute elite superstar, and it's very Cyril Rioli-like. Pez can take the game on and do some amazing things. And when he's up and about, liken it to when we're watching that North Melbourne game, Pez, he just seems to just pop up and make amazing things happen. And man, if you don't like that, you don't like football.
Oh yeah, well, I loved it, and the biggest thing I loved was. What did he do? He's showing the ball to the Carlton,
the old
Carlton fans.
Nathan Brown, the old turn, and
so I think a lot of Carlton supporters were the ones I was reading on Twitter that don't really like him because of that one incident.
If I was a Carlton's fan, I wouldn't be talking this week after their performance against Adelaide, but I'm sure we'll get onto that, Pez. But the moment when Richmond really looked that they'd taken control was when Daniel Rioli's chase down tackle on Charlie Cameron, and 3.5 minutes in the third quarter, and that was the moment, Pez, and they just absolutely came from there. Young rising star nomination this week, Noah Cumberland. He's amazing, Pez. Heard a story about him this week. He used to be a stonemason.
He did?
Yeah. He used to just be dropped out of school at 14 and just worked on his footy and picked up a trade. And
he would have worked his ass off from 14.
Would have really quite a career, Pez, but he looked amazing out there. 5 goals, great pickup for him. Their forward line was really functioning, Richmond. Cumberland had 5, Lynch had 4, Bolton, as you said, 2, Riewoldt 2, and yeah, what happened to Brisbane, Pairs? Like this hoodoo that they talk about, that can't be the reason that they threw away a 42-point lead. We know that Bailey went down midway through that second. He was a key piece to one of the reasons that they turned it around. But it's got to be a mental thing, Brisbane, and this is not what you want to see 3 weeks out from finals, Pairs.
No, it's definitely not what you want to see.
Bells.
It was a big turnaround, and everyone thought, Brisbane are finally here. They haven't won in the MCG for a really, really long time. A lot of people were tipping Richmond just for that that thing. And then at quarter time, people were going, oh, shit, I've stuffed up here in my tipping. But Mitch Robinson, he had a chance, a pretty simple set shot, you would say. I think it was in that third quarter there, just to steady the ship a little bit and missed over to the left. And he actually apologised for it on Twitter after the game. And usually when they play at the MCG, which isn't very often, Robbo will actually get on Twitter and apologise for the team's performance. But maybe the Twitter apology needs to stop and they need to just perform. They did perform, got up by 40 points or whatever it was. They just need to steady the ship and go from there and try and get that W, cement top 4. They might have stuffed their whole season with that.
Yeah, Pez, there's something that you and I have definitely talked about over the last couple of years, Brisbane's performance in finals, but the business end of the season, their list is there, Pez, their window is open. This should have been a routine win. They should have put their season, the top 4 chances alive. They should have put Richmond's season basically to bed, and a 42-point lead by a top 4 side should result in a win. And don't care if you win by 10 points or 100 points, but it should always result in a win.
Now, one thing I need to talk about with this. Now, the score review system. over the weekend in round 20. A lot of calls right, Sauce, and they had a really good week down in the bunker or whatever they want to call it. There was a kick from the Brisbane team, and it went over the head, and it looked like it went through the goals. The umpire called a touch behind. They've gone for the score review, and the umpire's called it, and the goal umpire said, "I think it's going to be behind." And then they reviewed it. It was clearly over the line for a goal. And then the field umpire's turned around and gone, it's a free kick to Noel Bolter for a push out. What happened there?
It was very interesting, Pez, because what were they looking for? Like, why did it come so late? What were they looking for? I couldn't understand it.
Was this the umpire watching on the screen and going, I missed the free kick. I'm just going to pay the free kick to Bolter?
That's what it looked like.
Is that what it was?
That's what it really looked like.
Because if it was, I don't think in the rules of the game you can actually do that.
No, you can't. It's
You've
only
called for a
it's
review?
score review.
It's either a goal or a behind.
Yeah.
You can't just pluck a free kick out or go, oh yeah, this guy blatantly was in a headlock, so we have to give him a free kick. Noel Bolter, yeah, he acted a bit. He's a Shooting Stars meme now as well, as he got pushed out. And did you see the Shooting Stars meme?
Yeah, it's one of the best ones. It's one of the best memes.
The best one I've ever seen, because all Richmond's close losses was them kicking Noah Bolter through the goals with the thing. But I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what to think. I didn't actually know what happened. There was no explanation. The commentators had no idea.
That's the thing, Pez, is that it looks like a decision got made, and with the score review, normally when they go back and they talk to it over the screen, they're like, score review, umpires call, or it's clearly you can see this, and then it just sort of went, no, nothing, no explanation, no real explanation at all, and everyone was left asking questions. And that shouldn't happen.
Usually there's the shitty graphic on the big screen with the ball. It's a behind when they've already said it in the microphone anyway.
I just love the guy on there gets on there, Serious Sam, and it's like, after a close review, you can see the ball has clearly been touched, and you look at it like, how can you see that through the pixelated 7 degrees?
How are the cameras still so bad?
Like I can, on my phone, Pairs, I can watch second division Russian ping pong in HD.
You watch it in 4K if you
watch
want.
it 4K if I want on my phone while I'm at the footy and still get a better view of a score review. Like it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's 2022, guys. AFL, come on, you're $1 billion company.
I can watch the game on Foxtel in 4 different versions, but I can't get at the game a good view of whether the ball is being touched or not.
Oh, I don't understand. But
my favourite one though, Pez, before we get on the score review, my favourite footage that they show is behind the scenes, behind the ball camera, where they've got this camera, like someone shot it from the top, peeping in the bushes. When they say when Barry Hall threw those couple of punches, and they was like, oh, there's footage from behind the play, and you look at it, it's like, what creep is standing there with their iPhone 4 sitting in the bushes, and it's so pixelated, and then they have to get the Mr. Squiggle line out and they circle it because you can't see anything else. Like, oh, that's where he hit him.
Yeah.
What are they doing, AFL?
Oh,
get some good cameras up.
I don't know what you're doing. Come on, AFL.
10 blokes holding iPhones, you'd be able to get a better angle than the one they're doing out there at the moment.
But in saying that, Brisbane still equal points with Sydney for 4th, but they could have been 3rd and equal second there, Sauce, and they're going to maybe cost themselves definitely a home final first up, but can they make the top 4 is another question.
It had to be crucial for them, Pez, for them to win to get a home final, considering they've lost 16 of the last 17 at the MCG. They've lost the last 15 straight in Melbourne. It's concerning for them, but it's not only that, Pez, they're actually gone 5 from 5 away from home, so 5 of their 6 losses have actually come away from the Gabba, so it's so crucial for them to get a home final.
Just for confidence.
And a double chance needs to be as well. But they've basically kissed that goodbye with that disappointing loss.
Yep. Now Richmond could be in the 8 if they didn't draw with Fremantle and they actually got over the line the week before. But their percentage doesn't matter with the draw, Source. So if the teams fall over and they get a couple of wins towards the end of the season, they can still fight for the 8. So their season actually stayed alive with that massive comeback. Some other games we need to talk about. We need to talk about Melbourne's performance because Fremantle were odds-on favourites to win on Friday night at home, and Melbourne just gave them an absolute bath, ended up winning by 46 points over their Source.
Do you know what's funny, Pez? It ended up being an absolute bath, but early on in that game, whilst the score didn't show that way, they just dominated them. Fremantle have lost a bit of that offensive thrill that they had earlier in the year, and they went back to their defensive game again, and those short kicks, and it became undone so quickly for Melbourne. They had 60 to 40 inside 50s. Melbourne just piled it on over and over and over again.
Melbourne of old.
It was
from 2021 when they could hit the short kicks and not have that pressure, because Fremantle were trying to zone or whatever they were doing at Optus Stadium and trying to bring that real defensive gameplay, which works really well against a team that gets caught out and kicks the ball long down the line. But Melbourne were able to pinpoint, get inside that forward 50 and actually score pretty heavily in the end against the Fremantle side that have had a couple of big wins, in Melbourne, had a couple of bad losses, had the draw against Richmond. But a lot of people with premature calls earlier in the year, Source on Twitter, saying, oh, yeah, Fremantle premiership contender now, Fremantle premiership contender. They've never been on my premiership radar this year. They can win games at Fremantle.
Oh, Fremantle.
They can win games at home and things like that, but they're not experienced enough to go into a final. Rory Lobb is your main forward in a final. No, thank you.
Well, was he playing on Friday night, was he?
Oh, well, you could see his hair, couldn't you?
Tell you what, though, $5 Sportsbet had him right to kick a goal.
Did they?
$5.
You should never, ever take
$5.
Why would anyone ever take that?
Yeah, you're right, Pez, and that's where the talks are about, Luke Jackson obviously going over there. Like, he's more of a ruckman that they're getting him for.
But
they haven't
put him forward.
But they haven't had a forward since Matthew Pavlich, Pez. Like, they need someone down there, and that is the biggest thing that they need to have. And obviously the Fife out.
What's happened to Taberner?
Well, he just can't get a kick, mate. He's just out of form.
He's getting locked down every week.
Because they're so one-dimensional. With Fife in there, when they put Fife in there, and they that smaller forward, at least it adds it up a little bit more flow in there. But the problem is, Pez, that when the going gets tough, they go back to their defensive mindset. Like in a loss by 40 points, Pez, they had 60 more disposals than Melbourne. Right, 60 more disposals. That shouldn't happen in a 40-point loss.
Little meaningless disposals in the back line, trying to go forward.
But they're meaningless swinging, Pez, because they've got no forward entry. They've got no structure. Like, Taberner is a one-dimensional player. He's a straight lead. He's the old, Plugger Lockett. That one-dimensional league. He's not a great overhead mark. He just runs at the ball. Lobby, outside of his hair, mate, there's nothing really going upstairs at all. He doesn't move around. He seems to not move off the ball. At least when they had Fife in there, he sort of runs around and creates that midfield and create something for him, but they need a standalone forward there. Walters hasn't done much this year. Their best forward in the last month has been Frederick.
Oh, Frederick always pops up for a goal, doesn't he? Yeah, and he loves it. With a couple of other players like Sarong stepping up in the midfield. Their midfield is very, very good. They've got Brayshaw in there who's having an absolute stellar season. Sean Darcy is the ruckman, but they just don't have that both ends type thing. They've got Griffin Logue, who they've tried to play up forward, who's looked promising at stages, but his goal kicking is to be thing. Now, you've mentioned Plugger, and I can't not say it. I was actually watching some highlights of Tony Lockett kicking goals, and his goal kicking style is one of the most perfect things you'll ever see. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, bang, kick. You watch some of the AFL forwards here that run in. I'm not talking about Ben Brown running in for 2 minutes. I'm talking about some other players who run in, they drop the ball from different heights every time. Just, you got to keep it simple.
Wayne Carey goes on about it all the time on Triple M, and anytime he gets a gig on Fox and doesn't get told to shut up when he's talking, basically about the drop, and it's all about the drop. And you're right, Pez. Do you know what baffles me in the AFL when we're having players line up is they're going into line up, they're looking at the clock, gets down to that 10-second, and they're not doing a Noah Bolter or anything. They spin the ball.
Yeah, how do you
do that? How can you line up the ball? You don't
have to keep it as straight as Ben Brown does. Speaking about Ben Brown again.
You don't, but they're going in and spin the ball around, and you're trying to get the old diamond technique when you were taught to kick the footy when you were younger. You go through the hourglass sort of thing. That can't be good for having consistency on that drop, and it's a huge issue.
And too many steps, and too many forwards. Really grinds my gears. They're getting too close to the man on the mark.
Way too close.
And then it's not getting touched or anything, but they're missing to the right or missing to the left because they're too close to the man on the mark. They realise it too late and go from there.
Yeah, but goal kicking wasn't what made this loss, Pez. And if anything, the goal kicking from Melbourne, everything Melbourne just flicked a switch, Pez, and I know that we say that teams can't really flick a switch, but Melbourne went into this game. They were under, a little bit of pressure because they haven't had a great form. They were amazing. Viney got back to his best. Petrarca was amazing. Brayshaw, Oliver was tagged out of a game, Pez. I don't know why more teams don't do that, but their forward line was functioning. Fritz looked like he could do no wrong. They had Pickett. Pickett looked like he was going to kick 7 or 8 in that first quarter. He was everywhere.
Look, and they don't have a superstar big forward.
Well, they don't need
or
if
big
they play like
centre
that.
forward, but no. They've shown that they can win the premiership like that before, and they're going to try and win it again in Melbourne this year.
Speaking of superstars, though, Pez.
Okay.
Speaking before we finish, just David Mundy.
Yes.
Has he been tapped on the shoulder or something? For people who don't know, he's he's retired effectively at the end of the season.
Yeah, what is he, 36, 37 years old?
37, yeah.
37's very old for an AFL footballer, but I did have an inkling earlier in the season that in interviews that David Mundy did over in WA that he was looking to play again for even another season, but a strange time to call time when your team just had a massive loss and I don't know if you're competing or not.
He was in contention last year for an All-Australian, Pez. He'd probably be one of their, I don't know if he's probably their best Fremantle player of all time. You probably have, Fife in there, Pavlich. But he's played 360...
Hazelby.
360, what was the Blondie? Waterhouse?
Clive Waterhouse, yep.
369 games, 159 goals. He's, been the captain once for a year. He's won the Ross Lyon medal once. Rising Star nominee in 2005.
He's just a clubman. And
Great clubman.
He's a really good kick. And he's one of those older players that just...
he's not a good kick. He's an elite kick.
He doesn't miss a target. And you just love to see it because these days, players can kick both sides. They're really, really skillful. But just that execution of skill within a game, David Mundy, wow. And he set shots for goal as a midfielder, winning games off his own boot was amazing. So shout out to David Mundy. Hopefully he does well. He gets to play in the finals.
Hey, he'll play next year, Pez. He fits right into Geelong's game plan. He's at right age bracket, 37. Right sort of age bracket.
Yep, just go to the retirement home in Geelong.
He's from Seymour, so he want to go back home to Geelong. Yep.
have a pub down there and go from there. Now, something I was wrong about last week, Sauce, was the Collingwood-Port Adelaide game. Now, I thought Port Adelaide were in great stead to come up and win a game against Collingwood, who had won 9 straight by not very big margins, and they've been escaping different games every single week, and they've been able to get all the close game wins, and they finished second last year, Sauce, and they sit third on the ladder after round 20, and it absolutely amazes me with their list. So they did well. They won by a goal in the end, which was a comfortable goal, more comfortable than the 4-point win against Essendon the week before, but Port Adelaide did a lot wrong there and weren't able to get over the line.
I mean, they had a lapse for about 10 minutes of the third quarter, Pairs, and that summarised their season because they had a lapse in the first 6 games of the season, and that ruined their season. They let them get ahead of them. They let the Collingwood Army sort of really influence their team by just run and gun, Pairs. They had a couple of lucky bouts. Oh, excuse me. There's the sponsor coming back up there, Jez. The old Jameson and lime.
The triple distilled Irish whiskey here.
It's got a bit of bite to it.
Beautiful. What are we looking at? It's a premium serve sauce, 6.3% alcohol, a 1.9 standard. Drinks.
Apologies for the little burp, but when they got up and running, Pez, Port Adelaide didn't have an answer, and if you look at what their midfield did during those times, is they did nothing. They needed to put Boak back up into that midfield a lot earlier because. Whilst he is, the old soldier, he's the career best form, Boak, at age 33 or whatever it is. They continually put him out elsewhere around the ground and to try and create, some more options for them. But they need to put him in there because that's when they lost the game. They about 10 minutes into that third quarter. Yeah,
well, they had 80 plus disposals, Port Adelaide, and this is what you speak about. But Collingwood were able to be more efficient, able to, get those kind of goals. And it's hard at the MCG against a Collingwood fans who are...
When they get up and going, Pez.
Up and about, doing the Collingwood chant early, probably again in the second quarter when they took the lead back after Port Adelaide got out to a 4-goal lead. And credit where credit's due. Collingwood able to get over the line and able to do it. And are they able to do it in finals? I don't think so. I don't think they're a top 4 team. I don't even know if I'd rate them as a finals contender, but wouldn't it be great to see an elimination final, at least Collingwood versus Carlton or something along the lines of that. So you get one of those teams out and the fanfare at that game and the noise would be absolutely unreal.
It would be, Pez. And, they've got to do it in finals. They've got to be able to win. But for them, the massive jump from last year, bottom 4 to top 4, it's a huge story. And they probably will come undone this week against Melbourne, who are hitting form at the right side. But it's going to be an absolute cracker Friday night. 100,000 at the MCG for sure. The Collingwood fans, 10 straight is no small feat, even though they have been playing some of the bottom feeders.
Be careful if they get 11 straight here, and because if they beat Melbourne at the MCG on Friday night,
and that'll lock up a top 4 spot. Home final.
Say goodbye to colour TV, because it's coming back to black and white this week and the rest of the season if Collingwood get up.
It definitely will be, Pez. And talking about, if they don't get up, what about Port Adelaide, Pez? So obviously they have to be one of the most disappointing sides this season. Them and probably Essendon, maybe the Bulldogs, teams that had such a successful season last season to really drop away. Ken Hinkley, he's been at the club since 2013. He's made, 2 prelims? 3 prelims? Maybe that's about it. Maybe a little bit more.
He had the Hawthorn against Hawthorn at the MCG. That was a ripper where they lost by about a goal. They lost to, was it the Bulldogs, where they got absolutely slammed on their home deck last year?
Yep.
And I think one more.
The year before they had Brisbane.
Not in a prelim, because Brisbane haven't played in a final.
You're right, actually. No, it was against Melbourne, maybe?
I think Richmond.
Geelong. They played Geelong. We beat them.
Geelong. It was over there as well again.
Yeah, it was
in
Port Adelaide too. Yeah, Geelong beat them pretty easy.
Two Adelaide Oval that they
has he done enough to keep their job? Like, obviously they finished strong at the end of the year, but they definitely let themselves down early in the year. Ken Hinkley, he's been there 10 years. Has he done enough to keep the job for next year? I know I'm asking the wrong person. I should be asking Koshy, but
yeah, you are asking the wrong person. But I think he should have been gone already.
I agree.
There's just too much that's happened. The first 6 weeks, you can't really come back from that. They sit 2 games outside of the 8. They're no chance to make the 8 this season. So you just say, you know what, Ken, you've served us well over the 10 years. You made your 3 things. You've had your chances, which he's been given more chances than some other coaches in the AFL history.
Has definitely.
So
he'd be perfect for GWS.
Maybe it is time to go along and get someone new. But you've got to have someone on your radar and know that you can get someone that's going to do a better job than Ken Hinkley before you just go, all right, we're going to full rookie.
Well, surely you'd sack him, and surely they're in talks with Alistair Clarkson. Like, if you put Alistair Clarkson in that list, a ready-made list, they could make a couple of small strategic moves. You'd have to make the call, wouldn't you? You'd have to be
apologies to the Adelaide faithful of Behind the Boundary podcast, but Alistair Clarkson's a very smart man. He does not want to go and live in the city of churches where there's absolutely nothing to do unless Adelaide or Port Adelaide are playing.
Wants to go down to Tasmania. Like, I know I'm going to offend the other half of our listeners in Tassie. But sorry, Greg. But, Tassie and Adelaide, much of muchness. muchness there, Pez.
No, because he likes Tasmania a little bit.
At least Adelaide's got a footy team.
He likes it a little bit. He's going to go to North Melbourne. Going to go to North Melbourne, where he played, and go down to Tassie 4, 5, 6 times a year, maybe 11 if they end up taking the deal to go down there.
All right, I think we've talked enough about Ken Hinkley, Pez. Let's get on to, something a bit more close to my heart, and obviously Gary Rowan's cousin. Gary Rowan's cousin's Ken Hinkley. Did you know that one? A little bit of a fun fact. Let's talk about the Cats, Pez. But let's more talk about the Bulldogs, Pez, because first quarter, it must have been the magic number on the weekend, 42, Pez, because the Bulldogs were in control, 42-0. At one stage during that game, and wow, did the Bulldogs look like they had returned to form. We just talked about Melbourne hitting stride at the right time. Bulldogs, we talked last week that this is a danger game. This is exactly where they want to be. And of course, Pez, they went home and won it, didn't they?
Yeah, well, this is a game where I was all over Geelong, and Geelong at $1.33, I think, earlier in the week. Just the way the Bulldogs came out and fired, they had Norton up the ground marking the ball. They were getting it inside forward 50 easily. Waitman was getting space inside forward 50, kicking snags in that first quarter. And Geelong just hadn't woken up from their afternoon nap yet. And it was a bit cold for them down in Geelong. Some of them had to change into long sleeve jumpers to warm up and go into the crowd with the old grandmas there and get the knitted blankets over them at quarter time and just wake up a little bit sauce, because Geelong actually came back and absolutely dominated and slaughtered the Western Bulldogs, because the Western Bulldogs just fell off the face of the earth with their contested ball, and Aaron Norton, I don't know where he went. He was probably with the grandmas during the actual game, because he disappeared. But credit to Geelong. I really loved how the Bulldogs came out, led by Liberatore in the middle of the ground, one of the best players in the AFL, I think, and they just couldn't keep it going. It is hard to do down in Geelong, especially on an icy cold Saturday night, and yeah, that's all I've got to say there about the Bulldogs.
Yeah, enough about the Bulldogs, Pez. Let's talk about the real story here. Is that we talked in the last bit about Melbourne turning it on at the right time. It's rare for you to see, especially a Geelong team coached by Chris Scott, to be able to turn it on during a game. I have to give Chris Scott credit. This year he's been incredibly, great in his game plan in managing. But Pez, the adjustments he made mid-game, which is something that we haven't seen from Scott, especially in finals, was great. He made a couple of real crucial moves, and he put Blitzars into the ruck for a little bit. Put put Dangerfield back into that midfield, floated him up forward. They made a couple of really great moves that really changed the impact of the game. Joel Selwell was fantastic in his 350th Pez, and it was a great celebration for that. Something that I didn't talk about in the pod last week. Didn't get enough chat in the media leading up to his 350th. He goes past as the most captained sides ever, most captain wins. He had break so many records, a champion at Geelong, but disappointing that they didn't really talk it up in the media the week before.
Oh, there was a little bit out there, but
not compared to Pendlebury the week before.
Yeah, but not a Melbourne club out there in Geelong.
Our home ground is the MCG, Pez.
You don't get spoken about unless you're on the Geelong Behind the Boundary podcast here. But Joel Selwood, congratulations to him and all that. Now, he has been scrutinised a little bit in his career for the technique of winning free kicks, but not as scrutinised as the new bloke Jack Ginnivan for Collingwood Footy Club. And Joel Selwood's been able to do it fairly, been able to do it. And if you play against him and he does it against your team, you're absolutely hating on the bloke because you're like, oh man, but it is the tackler's fault, and he's been able to do it. He came out in 2007 when he got drafted, won the premiership, won a couple more, and then captained the side, and it's just an amazing, stellar career. The bloke... You go.
Sorry, I was just about to echo what you were saying. Yep. A stellar career, Pez, and it was good to see that the fans got to celebrate him because he had no one there for his 300th and during the COVID and stuff, and it was really, really great to see all the fans be able to embrace him. I think one of the great bits of vision is him after the game walking, being chaired off, and there's a little kid there who's got the $350 jersey. It wouldn't have been worth that much in the Cats. It's probably knitted from his nan. 350 jersey, and it had the bandage around his head with the blood, and that's the iconic, Joel Selwood. A tough, courageous footballer, 3-time winner of it, and it's great to see a champion team get up for a champion in these games, and that's what you want to see.
Look, it's not ideal that he's remembered for the headband, but he's always
the courageousness.
He's always got it, and he's so courageous that everyone that's watched Joel Selwood would remember a time when he's been knocked clean out. Like I remember a time at the MCG, he was on the half forward flank, opposite side of the ground to me, and he just got hip and shouldered by I think it was a St Kilda player. And he just, head goes back, gets knocked out, bang. He wants to stand up and keep playing, but obviously he's gone.
That's
and
the one where he basically goes at right angles, straight down, and then you see him get up straight away, and it's like unbelievable, just toughness, and it's pretty remarkable to think about. As you said, we are a Geelong podcast, so I'll try and keep it short about talking about Joel Selwood, but it's pretty amazing to think about that he went 7, had 2 major surgeries on his knee before he was 18, and the way he's managed his body and been able to be, obviously, he walked into a very successful team from the start, but to hold his spot as an 18-year-old all those years is incredible.
Play nearly every game in that first season.
Incredible.
And go from there. Because if he got drafted to a lesser club like a North Melbourne or something, you don't know where his career is going to be. He's obviously still going to have a great career, but you don't know if it's going to be as...
He's probably not making the impact that he makes with the other people around him, but hey, that's the luck of the draw, and that's it's great.
I'm probably going to push you away from speaking about Geelong, but I'm not, because I want to speak about Brad Close, because he's easily becoming one of my favourite players to watch. I messaged you a text on Saturday night, just Brad Close with some love hearts, because...
The old purple love hearts.
I just could not believe how good this guy was. He kicked 1 goal, 3 Sauce, but he had 19 touches, and one of the moves that you didn't speak about was when Brad Scott puts him a kick behind the ball just to shore it up down there and just to make that kick, and you want him kicking it to you inside forward 50 if you're Jeremy Cameron or Tom Hawkins.
Yeah, Pez, and I didn't talk about that move, you're right, because it seemed like such not a meaningful move, but it made so much impact across the ground, and seeing him run around in those long sleeves, Pez, it brings me back to some of the champions of the game of, Bartel, the way running around there, but he's got a lot more finesse than the Bartel, and that's a weird thing to say, obviously, about a Brownlow medalist, Pez, but he's electric, he's a great kick, and he seems to have so much poise for a young player.
Unbelievable it is. And really looking forward to watching him against the Saints this week. And he's going to tear him apart a little bit, because because the Saints are struggling at the moment, and we don't really need to speak about them from round 20 because their game was absolutely horrible against Hawthorn both ways.
Well, that's why I thought you were looking at plugger highlights, looking back for your last time you guys won and played some good footy. So
Yeah,
is that what you were doing?
Oh no, I was looking more so on Saturday night at Adelaide Oval when Carlton, a massive opportunity to cement a final spot under Vossi's first year, and Adelaide Crows just towed them up by 29 points.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to believe, Pez, that 3 weeks out to finals, and we are going to be talking about Carlton possibly missing the finals because they blew a golden opportunity, Pez, to cement a final spot. They had to beat Adelaide, who have, they've sort of been bubbling a little bit. They've been trying to put it together, and they haven't been kicking accurately enough to be able to stay in games, but this was absolutely disgusting, Pez. They broke a record for broken tackles, missed tackles, and Vossi came out and absolutely ripped through them, and they'll put this one behind them, Pez, and move on. But mentally, this is a huge loss for the club.
And their run home source, they've got to win one game.
Tough.
They've got to win one game to cement their spot. They're in charge of their own destiny here. They go up to the Gabba this week to play Brisbane after giving up a 40-point loss at the MCG.
You'd probably say it's a loss. Back home as well.
Then they go to the MCG to play Melbourne, who
are hitting form,
back in form, coming up to
big
finals.
Big game.
And then it might be to get into the finals for Carlton on a Sunday,
old rival,
3:20 at the MCG against Collingwood.
Who'll be going for 13 straight by then.
Who might be playing for a top 4 spot, could be playing for a home final, finish 5th or 6th, we don't know yet. But wowee, Carlton lose the next 2 games and it gets down to that last game and the Bulldogs or Richmond or someone can, come and threaten the spot of Carlton. It's going to be pretty dangerous for them.
It'll be a real shame, Pez, because Carlton this year have really put things together early on in the year. They were the Collingwood of the early on, where they kept winning those close games. They beat Richmond, they beat someone else, the Doggies early on in those close games, and then as the year has gone on, they've been hit with injuries, Pez, and their game plan has got some questions in it. The way that they sort of run forward a little bit, their forward line has been, I guess, okay. It's been kicking goals here and there. Their back line has been depleted, and they've done really well to hold a top 8 spot. But for them, if they don't make a top 8, Pez, in the year that it has been, and the success that they've had and the growth they've shown from last year, an absolute cross, and some questions will be asked at Carlton.
Yeah, some injuries coming at the wrong time as well at the end here. Like Charlie Curno's had a stellar season. Harry Mackay, he's going up forward, kicking some goals as well, but they just need those players in the middle. They need Walsh, they need Cripps. They just need to stand up, take a game against Adelaide by the scruff of the neck and just win that game. But now they need to win one of the next 3, and they'd prefer not to leave it to round 23. So are you going to have an upset against Brisbane or Melbourne? They got to try really hard to pull something together,
and that makes a difference. Pez, is we talk about this every year for end of time. We'll talk about this. Good teams find a way to win, even when they're playing poorly. So you take this game, and if they'd won by a point or a goal kick, and everyone would have gone, they probably they played horrible, and we'd be talking about their performance. But you know what? They won.
They would have been cemented in the final 8 as well.
Yep. But for them to be blown out, Pez, and that's what it was, and they were never in this game, Pez, not at all. Adelaide they didn't even kick inaccurately. 8-7 to have 15 scoring shots against a third bottom side, Pez, who was looking for their 3rd win of the season. It's just not on, and some alarm bells goes off, Pez. They'll review the tape. They would have already reviewed it. They've said that they've put it behind them. I like what they didn't hide away from it in the press conference. I can't remember who it was like, we know this week we'll need to bring our mouth guards, and that's good. So they know that they need some stuff to work on, but it's a tough run home, and it'll be a disappointing end if they don't make finals.
Yeah, you've got to back them from here being a game clear of 8th and 2 games clear of 9th. But we'll see how they go.
Pez, I've gone on the old Squiggle, the unofficial sponsor behind our beverage sponsors, Pez, and the ladder predictor. If they they win one of those games, and a couple of teams win. I've got them actually finishing 9th.
If they only win one?
Yep.
Wow. Who goes above them? There's got to be 2 teams.
Richmond and the Dogs on their run home.
Both get in. All right.
The Dogs have a very nice little run home, Pez.
All right. Very interesting to see. So wait for that here. Round 20, we're still going to talk a little bit about it, Source, because this is the betting part of our podcast where we get in, and we've had a very good 2022. But let's have a look at round 20.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
Yeah, floor's yours, mate.
No, it's fine. I was waiting for the good intro, Pez. I was didn't want to disappoint and make our listeners turn off after my disappointing. We just talked about how Carlton and how disappointing they are after a great start to the season, Pez. And I feel like I was talking about myself because I had a great start to the season, up many units. I backed myself last week. I went ultra big, probably a little bit too cocky with how I was going.
Yep.
And wow, did I get brought back to reality.
So you're the Carlton. What am I at the moment? What do you reckon?
I don't know.
What team would I be?
Geelong.
Who's on top?
Geelong.
All right, I'll take it.
Oh, look at you. You're a Geelong man, hey? Is that going into the St Kilda versus Geelong game and you're a Geelong man? I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's all right. First game was Fremantle versus Melbourne Source. Now, I had a 3+ leg same game multi here, under 174 over 134, and Melbourne plus 29. No good.
No good, Pez. No good at all.
Too low the score.
Way too low.
Yeah. Didn't help me, did it?
Did not help you. It was across, Pez, and I was a little bit worried for you when the weather report said it was going to be pouring with rain.
Yes, because we did our bets on a Wednesday, which we're doing it again tonight. Yep. So do be aware if you are going to follow along any of our bets and the over and unders. We are doing it on a Wednesday when the forecasts aren't always as accurate, especially if they are Melbourne games as well.
Yeah, definitely. I had 2 bets in this one, Pez, and it was disappointing for me. I had Fremantle on the nose. I thought they were going to bring a little bit more than they actually did, not to be. Yep, thanks for the sound effects. And the other one I had was Clayton Oliver to get more disposals than Andy Brayshaw, and sound effects for me, Pez.
Jeez, tagged out of the game.
Tagged out of the game.
Didn't Brayshaw have it on a string even though in a losing side?
Yeah, he had 30, Pez, and Oliver had 21. Looked really, really disappointing. So there was 4 units, Pez, but I had a little bit of a secret saviour on the night. I had my Bet Nation any team to win by 40 for the round. And about third quarter, I texted you and I thought, geez, I'm in trouble here. And then you're like, oh, hopefully we keep it 1 to 39. And I thought, oh, hang on a tick, I got my 40+ bet here. Willed that home, pair, so it was a nice little collect for me with 1.6 units on that one. So I was very excited for that, and Pairs, and thought, you know what, that might be a good start to my weekend.
Yeah, maybe a good start after the 4 units in that game and go from there. But Collingwood, Port Adelaide, I had a bonus bet. Port Adelaide straight up to win, and they were plus 6.5 when I placed this bet, and if I had done that, I would have escaped with the win, but wasn't to be because I thought Port Adelaide were going to win this. I was wrong. Red Cross. See you later.
Yeah, Pezzo was in the exact same boat. I had a 3-leg same game multi. The over and under hit the middle of that one, lovely. But the Port Adelaide to win, should have gone the line, Pez. Should have, could have, would have. Already down 6 units going into not even the 3 o'clock game on the Saturday. Not looking good.
6 units down. That is shocking. But Sydney versus Giants, I stayed away because I didn't trust Sydney. But
it's because you have no brothers, Pez.
Looks
no
like
brothers.
I should have.
You have because you didn't want to beat up on your adopted brother. I told you exactly what would happen, Pez, that Sydney would have beat up on their adopted brother.
No, I should have put 2 units on
I
instead of your little bonus.
Would have put 10 units on, mate. Jesus Christ, I would have saved my round, but that was a nice little bonus bet, Pez. Free money. So didn't even make up a unit in the return. I'm still down 5.1 units.
You've got to take it when you can. Now, St Kilda versus Hawthorn, I was very nervous here because I had either team to win by 24 or less. Brad Crouch to have 20 plus, over 136. Those last 2 legs got up easily, but Tom Campbell was named in on Thursday night, and I was thinking the CEO of St Kilda possibly would step in and be like, hey, you can't play Tom Campbell here. He's been a player delisted from the Bulldogs, he's been delisted from North Melbourne, and he's been delisted from those clubs for a reason. He came in and played for St Kilda 1 week, and it was one of the worst performances I'd ever seen. This guy cannot play AFL footy. I don't know if he can coach or do anything else, but maybe he has to look for another job. Please do never play him again. He didn't play. He was a laid out, which was very, very good. But that means St Kilda led by 40 plus. It was no good, but Hawthorn kicked 5 goals in a row to bring it back, and it was only a 12-point win. So that was a tick source, so happy with that. Yeah,
I steered clear like Tom Campbell should have apparently steered clear of... he was still clear of this podcast. Jesus Christ, poor bloke got a baking. Poor bloke celebrating an AFL win and
about to be delisted by a 3rd club.
Jesus Christ, cop that. We'll move on to the other game that was on there, the Geelong Western Bulldogs game. And if Geelong had turned up in the first quarter, Pez would have had a win. I had the over 163.5, and it was finished at 157, 160, I think it was. So I fell 3 short of that one. Had the plus 7.5 pretty easy. And Tommy Atkins, my man, a regular, Pez, in our bet slip to get 15 or more. And I'll give you a hot tip. He makes an appearance this one, still $1.30.
Ooh, so I had Tom Atkins for 15 plus.
Yeah, I loved yours, Pez.
Stengel for 2 goals, he got it, and Geelong just to win the match, and 286, a unit on that, brought it back. And when you bet on a disposal market, and you bet on a player to get 15 or you bet on a player to get 20, isn't it just so good at the end of the game when they actually just get that number? Because that means their price isn't going down by that much. Because if they get 25 or 30, their price is going to plummet. But there we go. Another win for me.
Oh, I got a stiffy.
Told you last week, Pez, I loved your bet, and it was amazing. We used that graphic last week. I wish you didn't ramble on for so long. It would have sounded better, but did really enjoy seeing Stengel, two of my main men at Geelong, Pez, perform. This week surely you got close in there for a goal, hey?
We'll have to wait and see for the main event of the pod, but Adelaide...
What, your bets? Now that you're a Geelong man.
Exactly right. Adelaide, Carlton, none for me.
No, I had none for that game, Pez. We move on to the battle of the coasters, Gold Coast and West Coast. And Pez, I was really excited about my bet when I turned on the telly, and Gold Coast were absolutely dominating West Coast. I was at the pub, no surprise, watching the footy, playing a bit of cards, and then I looked down at losing the card game, and I'm like, oh shit, well, how's the footy going? And West Coast were up by a goal. I'm like, oh my god, I'm losing everything here.
No Josh Kennedy, Jack Darling decides to come up, kick 6, and Gold Coast only ended up winning by 3 points in the end.
And it was a struggle, but as we talked about with good teams and the teams that need to win, doesn't matter how you win, they got the win. Unfortunately for me, Pez lost a unit.
Yeah, Richmond, Brisbane next.
Did have a bonus bet though with it.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I got to celebrate something this week round, Pez.
Richmond versus Brisbane. Now, my original bet that I had, Richmond plus 33.5, Brisbane plus 18.5. Over 154.5 alternate points. That ended up getting up very, very easily. $2.21, had a unit on it. But what I did on the Sunday, I had a look at the market on Bet365, the matchup disposals, which don't come out here on a Wednesday, but they do come out closer to the game. Now, Jaden Short versus Trent Cotchin. They were both $1.90, and it was $17 for them to tie. Now, source, Jaden Short's had a couple of different roles. Cotchin has beaten him and drew him 3 weeks before that. So beat him twice. And was a draw once. I thought, you know what, Jaden Short's going to come out. He's going to play in defence. Brisbane are going to get the ball down there a little bit, but they're going to struggle at the MCG, and he's going to bring the ball out. Didn't end up happening. Trent Cotchin was everywhere, able to beat Jaden Short very easily, especially when he went forward. And I ended up throwing 2 units on that and eating into my profits for round 21. So not happy with the loss, but I made the wrong call.
You did make the wrong call, obviously, Pez. There, got a little bit greedy, but still, it's not bad having one win.
Yeah, I'll take the win. There you go.
I had 3 losses in this one. I was looking great, Pez. I had Brisbane minus 16.5 and first quarter, 42 up. Thank you a little bit. Zach Bailey was everywhere in the first quarter. He had 9 in the first quarter. And I thought, oh, geez, he's going to get his 20. And the over 166.5, Pez. I thought, well, this is going to be absolutely money for VBs. And wow. Did that hurt? Zach Bailey went off with a head injury, a concussion.
$8 as well.
And Brisbane lost by a goal. So... Shit.
No good. We didn't have anything in Essendon and North to finish off the round source, but my multi, 0 for 4 legs out of that. So my cheeky 10.
Oh, you did the source multi?
Yeah, the three overs in Port Adelaide to win was no good. So the cheeky 10 goes to Bet365 there.
Cheeky 10, Pez. I had all reliance on Brisbane in this one. I was pretty confident they'd get the chocolates there. Sydney to win, Gold Coast to win, and Brisbane. And Pez, geez, I was lucky to escape with a bonus bet halfway through that Gold Coast game.
That could have saved your round if Brisbane had have actually won. Bailey didn't get subbed out, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, would have, could have, should have, Pez. And I'm making a lot of jokes about how terrible my round is, Pez, because sometimes that's what you got to do when you're betting. Sometimes you just got to go, you know what? I had a bad round, put it behind me, laugh it off, and I'll make up the money this week.
Yeah, well, that's what you hope to do.
You've got to hope so, Ben.
I ended up putting 6.4 units out with the 2 units.
I put down 12.
Brought back 7.57 units, so a small profit of 1.17 units. So you weren't happy with your round source. I wasn't too happy with mine, but my year-to-date, 186.4 units out, 264.06 units in, and a profit loss of 77.66 units, which a couple of listeners probably in disbelief in it keeps coming up and keeps growing week after week.
Yeah, the small wins, Pez. You weren't happy on your gold standard, the Geelong culture and the Geelong standard way of 1.7. But hey, Pez, 4 points is 4 points, and you're still on top. Me, unfortunately, had a roughie, Pez. So 12.6 units staked, only returned the 5 units, minus 7.6 units for the loss. But Pez, overall, as I said, I'm happy to, put that week away. I've reviewed the footage on the
Carlton, you're still in the 8.
In the 8 pairs, and I'm ready. I'm ready to recharge. I've reviewed. I've worked out what I've done. I've gone back some safe bets this week. Staked 150 for the year pairs, returned 178, a profit loss of 19.24 pairs, an ROI about 20%. So still where I'd like to be. Obviously not hitting great form heading into finals, but there's 3 rounds to go, and I'll bounce back this week.
Well, round 21. Let's get into it.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Betts with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate, and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
Straight into the specials pairs. No screwing around here.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang!
Well, here we are, Sportsbet, with their bet returns for every match. Ladbrokes and Neds haven't changed from last week, but they did make a change. So if you didn't hear it last week or see it at Behind the Bound on Twitter, they've got the 3+ same game multi at Ladbrokes, 1 refund per day on Friday, on Saturday, or on Sunday. $2 footy lines on Friday and Sunday only. So the Saturday games, you're going to get $1.90. And they've got the AFL Mega Multi 4+ legs. 1 legs fails, you get a bonus back. Neds, they got $2 lines on Friday and Sunday as well. Early payout if your team leads by 20+ at halftime. And their same game multi bonus back, 1 per day, but it's only the 2 days source. It's the Friday and the Saturday, not the Sunday. Bet365 is as normal. Now Tab, very happy with Tab. They've got the head-to-head multi special, 3+ legs. And I think, a little typo there. It is the same game multi-special, but they've got the 3+ legs this week, source, not 4. So they've brought it back down, Tab. So very happy with Tab this week for the same game multi. Moneyball, same game multi offer, still the same. Alternate account, I still couldn't see anything, source. You got anything to add for Moneyball? Nothing at all. All right, Blue Bet. They've got the 12-point up. They've got the multi-bonus. They've got the footy multi-bonus. They've got Bluey's goal scorer bonanza as well, source. So 5 or more of these players. Did this win last week? Do you know?
Nope.
It didn't win.
It didn't win.
And we didn't like it last week.
No, we liked it the week before, but didn't like it this week.
Didn't like it this week. So this week you've got Jack Ginnivan, Jack Gunston, Bailey Smith, Cameron Guthrie, Chad Warner, Patrick Cripps, Ollie Wines, 5 or more to kick a goal. And I think what Blue Bet had done here is they've given normal goal kickers in the first week. It got up. And then they've gone, all right, we'll give you a midfield goal kicker, and only 3 of them have to miss for us to get our money back. So I don't really like it this week either, source.
1, 2, 3. Cripps. Yeah, no, I don't like it.
There's 2 there that you'd probably be definite in.
Ginnivan
and the
Gunston,
rest.
And Chad Warner's been on fire lately.
Yeah, but he is a midfielder, and he's not guaranteed to.
Who's
to even have a
the
shot.
last or? It just says or for me.
Ollie Wines.
Ollie Wines, yep.
Yeah, so they're not known goal kickers as midfielders.
I thought it was
They have
just
kicked
or
goals
pick your
before.
own. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll pick my own.
Oh yeah, yours looks a little bit different to mine, but there's the specials. We'll see what comes up in our bet slips.
We will, pairs. All right, straight on to the where all the money is made, pairs. Hopefully this week we're an absolute cracker of a round, pairs. Let's get into round 21. Melbourne taking on Collingwood. $2.90 outsiders are the pies. $1.39 favourites are the Ds. -16.5 is the line. Over under 154.5, pairs. Surely Melbourne this week, they stop screwing up everyone's tips and they put Collingwood back in their place.
Yeah, well, Sunday I put out my bet on Twitter at Behind the Bound because I wanted to get behind the line here, source. So you already know what my bet is because it was posted on Sunday. So I locked in Melbourne for 2 units and I put my bonus with lads from last week on the same bet because I thought that the number would rise, and it has. So what's the line at the moment?
16.5.
I got it at 12.5 here, posted there. So if you follow us, have notifications on, you would have got the same thing and you would have jumped all over Melbourne. I got -12.5, 2 units at $1.90, and then I've got my bonus at $1.90 as well, -12.5. So I was happy with that.
Yeah, love that bet, Pez. I don't even mind the line at -16.5. I think Melbourne do an absolute number.
I think it grows still.
Yeah,
Teams will come out. I think it goes to 19.5.
I think it'll probably settle about 18.5, so they're not too far off, Pez. I've gone a 3-leg same game multi. I've got Melbourne alternate handicap plus 18.5, over 149.5, Pez, just a little shy of what the over under is there, and then the under 184.5. I've got $50 on that one, Pez, 2 units at the odds of 265 with my bet return on Neds. Sorry, not bet return, with the 3-leg same game multi.
There you go. Friday night footy, huge crowd, MCG, nothing better.
Yeah, nothing better at all, Pez, except for the next game. We head down to Tassie for Hawthorn taking on the Gold Coast Suns. $1.94 outsiders are the Hawks, $1.90 favourites are the Suns. The line is basically a pick and Pez, 0.05. You can work either way. Over under 165.5 is the total game points.
Yeah, now what I'm going to speak about a little bit here, it's pretty even in the odds here, Source, and kind of a pick 'em Gold Coast season. Pretty much done, you would say, even with the win over West Coast. So what have we got to play for? Who's going to...
They need to win 2 games. If they can win 2 out of their 3, if they can win all 3, they'll make finals. If they can win 2 out of the 3, they get very close.
And who have they got?
They've got Geelong, they've got Hawthorn, and they've got North Melbourne. So they should be able to get 2 of those.
Should be able to get 2.
Geelong in Gold Coast next week. So they need to win this game by a lot, I think.
Yeah, they just need to do it. Now, Hawthorn 2 weeks ago, Jack Gunston came back. He kicked, 4 goals, 4 goals, 6, something like that. Yep, 5-4. And he played last week, and Callum Wilkie gave him an absolute bath. And he got 1 goal over the back with a little toe on the line. But he was taken care of. And I don't think Gold Coast can do the same thing. So I don't usually do this, but I've had to get this cheeky here down in Tasmania. So I've gone alternate points over 156. Now, in Tasmania, in years past, it's been a little bit lower because they've been played at night. The weather's been a bit crappy. Now, this game, played during the day, the scores have been really high, even when North Melbourne have been involved. There's been some plus 200 plus points. So I've gone over 156 with the alternate points. I've gone Jack Gunston to kick 2 goals down one end and Isaac Ranking to kick 2 goals down the other source. Gold Coast Suns plus 21.5 and Giath for Hawthorn, 15 disposals in that back line as well. That's $5.63 all up. I haven't just put the 0.4 cheeky on it. I've put a unit on it at lads.
Geez, Pez. Yeah, you don't mind a little cheeky there, gone very early in the pod as well, which I don't mind. I tend to agree with you, Pez. I think the game could be high scoring, but because it is at Tassie, I have just played it a bit safe. I've gone a 3-leg same game multi with Neds, and I've put the under in there. Put the highest under that we could, 196.5 with the $1.10, $1.13 sort of market to make sure that I'm eligible.
You can get higher than that, but
it can go up to, it goes up to about 203 and it's $1.01, but then I don't get my bonus back if one leg fails. I've gone the alternate handicap Gold Coast Suns plus 29.5. As I said, I think that they need to win this. They will see finals as a hope, and Geelong at home for the Gold Coast Suns, they'll see that as a winnable game. I think that they'll do number on Hawthorn, so I've also put them in for the win, Pez. $25 1 unit on $2.28 with Neds. 1 leg fails, bonus back.
There you go. Now they burned you last week, and Gold Coast seem to be one of your favourite sides to bet on. So we'll see if they can get back in your good books here.
They didn't burn me last week. They still got a win.
Oh, you didn't get a win.
Well, they got a win.
Doesn't help you.
All right, speaking of teams, well, actually, I'm not talking about this. Essendon are playing someone, and Essendon are $1.73 because I refuse to talk about them. I told you, Pez. The other team is $2.11, minus 4.5, Pez. There's no more orange paint for these guys because they're no longer contenders. 169 is the line, Pez. Total game points. Of course, you're going to talk about the other team because I'm not going to.
No, all I'm going to say is a few weeks ago for the new listeners out there, the source said the Giants still had a chance to make finals, and they have been absolutely horrendous since.
It was like a month ago. Don't say it was a couple of weeks ago.
Now, what I thought, Source, with the Giants, they actually had a free reign for the first couple of weeks under Mark McVeigh, and they came out and they scored heavily. And then they've been focusing on not hitting targets out of defence and turning the ball over.
Good strategy.
Getting scored heavily against, but not actually scoring themselves. So I'm staying right away from the Giants on the overs or the unders. In anything I do, but I'm staying away from this game in total because with Essendon involved as well, no thank you.
Cheeky!
No, it's not cheeky.
No, mine's cheeky, Pez. Yeah. Mine's cheeky, but it's not really because Essendon have no opposition. I've gone Essendon to win by 40 plus points and Essendon to lead every quarter. $10 bonus bet on it, Pez, of cracking odds of $7.71. They get that easily against the bye.
He's gone the quarter by quarter and 40 plus. All right.
Yep, 40 by 40 on its own, absolute bargain at 560. You can get that. You can eat that right up.
Essendon 40 plus at 560, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good considering they're playing no one.
Oh, your favourite team. You're wearing orange right now.
All right, on to Saturday night. It's a faded red. It's for the Gold Coast Suns.
Wasn't talking about your jumper. I'm talking about your hair.
Oh, you dick. All right, on to the Saturday night game. There's not the Saturday night game, the afternoon twilight game. Western Bulldogs taking on Freo. This should be an absolute cracker. We'll learn a lot about sides here, Pez, and this will help shape the top 8 quite furiously. $1.50 favourites are the Doggies. 260 outsiders are the Dockers. Minus 11.5 is the line. The over-under, Pez, is 163.5. Don't worry about being a wordsmith, Pez. Just tell us about
you lose 7.6 units and you can't even speak. The Doggies playing at home, they're quite heavy favourites, which is against Fremantle. It hasn't happened lately at all. Now, my bet's a little bit different. I've gone the team total points here, and the reason I've done it is because the Bulldogs, as a midfield, absolutely dominant, and they've got a really deep midfield. And what they're going to want to do is they're going to want to play fast footy. They're going to try and score. The way Fremantle have to win this game and bounce back is they have to bring back their defensive game and focus on their defensive structures. So that means low scoring, and not just low scoring for the Bulldogs, because the Bulldogs might be able to get past it and might still be able to score very highly. But I've gone Fremantle's team total to be under 74.5 points. Because I think that they have to focus on defence. They need to continue to try, and they're not going to, with their forward line at the moment and what's happening, away from home at Marvel Stadium, I don't think they can get over that score there. So that gives me $1.95. I've put 2 units on it at Bet365.
Yeah, that was an email that just went in and telling you that you're wrong. So
I
agree with what you're saying in terms of the game will be scored low, and I agree what you're saying. Actually, the Fremantle low under what did you say, under 76.5?
74.5. But
Yeah,
you just said I was wrong.
No, I'm wrong about the result. I don't think that the Doggies will be able to get it done. I think Fremantle will be able to contain them. They'll go back to the drawing board. I think the Western Bulldogs will, I think their true colours came out last week, Pez, in the way that they crumbled under a little bit of pressure. Geelong being a great defensive side, Fremantle, when they're up and running, being one of the best defensive sides in the league. I think they'll focus on that offensive game a little bit, and they'll be able to score against a high flowing free football that the Western Bulldogs play. I've just gone the rest of my bonus bet, Pez. I used $10 on Neds. I split it and put $10 bonus catch on the cheeky for the last game, and I put the rest of the 40 down, just Fremantle to win at $2.60 just on Neds with the rest of my bonus.
Okay, so you're just splitting it around so you don't have to fork out any real cash again this week. I see what you're doing, but you don't agree with me that Fremantle are going to go under. I think they can still win and go under.
I think that they will go under. I agree with you, but you said at the start that you think that the Doggies will be able to.
I think the Doggies take this one.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think that they'll be. I actually agree that they'll stay under, but I think that they'll contain the Doggies as well. The last couple of weeks, Hugo Haley has been absolutely amazing. Jamara, he's not going to keep that form together. Whilst I'm concerned a little bit how Fremantle score, I think that their defence stands up and they can get the chocolates against Freo. Yeah, against with the Doggies.
Too many weapons in the midfield and forward line for the Doggies, but let's agree to disagree, and the betting will do the talking.
Yeah, it will. It will. It will do the talking. All right, on to the Saturday night clash, Pez. This will be an absolute cracker. Both of our favourite teams are playing the Saints. $1.13 for the Cats. $6.05 outside is the highest of the round, Pez. Minus 33.5 is the line. I take it back, Pez. You're North Melbourne. They're at $8.07, but St Kilda not far behind in that one. The over-under 153.5, Pez. The Saints playing down at Alphabet Stadium. 33.5 seems quite low.
I didn't even listen because I have no interest in this game. I actually didn't even know the odds until you said them there, Source, because this game just scrolled straight past it when I was doing my bet slip today because St Kilda, absolutely no chance with the way they've been playing. Yes, they got a win against West Coast and Hawthorn, but unable to do anything with their lineup at the moment, and just very disappointing.
Yeah, I'm really torn in this game, Pez, because I actually put a bet down in this game and then realised I'd also put a bonus bet on this game and not realise that. So I've got 2 bets down in the game, but they all require the same thing. So
put them through.
I'm not going to put them through because that's silly, because if one gets up, it's just throw away money, Pez. But I've got something for the listeners to have a listen to, the Pez special, just the Tommy Atkins, Tyson Stengel and Brad Close.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so Tyson Tingle to get 2, Brad Close anytime goal scorer, and Atkins, my man, to get 15 or more. That was the first bet I put down, Pez. $3.
You got to stick with that.
For 3 legs, $3. That's 50, Pez. But unfortunately, I put down a bonus bet, which is Tommy Atkins to get 15, Tyson Tingle to get 2 goals, and Geelong to win. So that gives me odds of 225. I got the bonus bet. But
We have to take your bonus.
I'm going to put them both down.
I was going to say, if you weren't putting them both down, I was still in your other bet.
Yeah, I'll put them both down, Pez. So that'll be $50 on that one. But it's funny because when I did that one after your message you sent me last week, I thought, I'm going to stitch him up here. I'm going to go 2 for Stengel, Atkins, because I was talking about how much I was loving your bet last week, and he said close. I'm like, I'll put that in, and then realised that I had my bonus bet already down on something almost identical. So not great betting by me, Pez. But hey, it's all a bit of fun here, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of fun, and we try and make a healthy profit as well. So,
what do you get within though, Pez? The Saints. They knocked them off. They knocked off the Cats earlier. That was their last loss actually against the Saints.
Be good to get within 6 goals.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Don't think it happens though. Right, on to the other Saturday night game. This will be an absolute cracker, Pez. You might be able to look over at the pub when we're watching the Saints and Geelong to this game, have a little bit more interest. Port Adelaide taking on the Tigers, 167. Port Adelaide at 222, -6.5 is the line. Over under 150.5. Pez, I know you're all over Richmond in this one.
No.
You are. Come on.
No, my bet doesn't say that because I'm quite torn on this game. I think it should be a little bit closer in the betting. But Richmond having to go over and travel, they've lapsed within games last week against Brisbane a couple of times as well. So I think Port Adelaide going home, they need to win. They need to say goodbye to Ken Hinkley on his goodbye tour. And I've
say goodbye to Motlop as well, champion.
Yeah, Motlop retiring this week. So I've gone the total, alternate total, under 180 points, a night game over at Adelaide Oval. I don't know how it's going to be too high scoring there. Either team to win by less than 24.5 points. So a close one. And if a team wins by 4 goals, great. If a team wins by 3 goals, great. Any more than that, no good for me. And just the third one, I had to put a third leg in, and I put Port Adelaide plus 24.5, which doesn't mean anything because the other bet literally says
nothing.
that.
It's just a bonus
literally
insurance.
Nothing, just bonus insurance, because if that does happen and a team wins by less than 24 but it's scored over 180.5, I still get a bonus. So just insurance purposes there. And that's my bet, $2.07. I put a unit on it at Ned's.
Who do you think wins though, Pez?
Richmond have too much on the line, and I think they win by a couple of goals.
Okay. I have not put anything down in this game specifically, but I have used this in one of my bonus bets for my multi. So I have got Port Adelaide in there. I think they have enough talent there, and Richmond, whilst they were impressive in half a game of footy, they've been too inconsistent over the last month. They've been really disappointing in some of those close games, and I think they dropped this one, Pez, and their finals hopes are in a little bit of jeopardy there. I know that draw saves them.
I thought earlier in this thing you said Richmond and someone take over Carlton.
Yeah, I just says that I think that they have not been in great form. It doesn't mean I still don't think they'll make the finals. I just think that it puts them in a little bit of jeopardy.
They lose this game, win the next 2, so Carlton have to lose all 3. They'll still be above Carlton. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Squiggle letter predictor's got it all under control, Pez.
Yeah, the man from the moon. Here we go.
Dream
big.
All right, speaking about dreaming big and people from the moon, we get to North Melbourne. North Melbourne, $8.60, Pez, because the way that they are playing is out of this world at the moment. Doesn't even resemble anything of football. And if you thought Sydney beat up on their adopted brother, imagine how they're going to beat up on their cousin from Tasmania. So $1.07 favourites are Sydney, -45.5 is the line, over under 172.5. Sydney are just heading a nice little run at finals. A couple of good beatdowns, a couple of good ways to get the morale up, Pez. -45.5 seems really low considering what Sydney did last week.
Who would win in a fight? A kangaroo or a swan?
Probably a kangaroo, I'd say.
Yeah. What if it was in the ocean?
I think the kangaroo would drown because its pouch would fill up with water.
So the swan would probably win because it'd be the last one alive? Then maybe that's what will happen this week, but I'm steering clear.
Jesus Christ. I'm steering clear as well, but I'm really glad that we went down that whatever the hell that was.
Hey, listeners, stay tuned. I've got a pearler for sauce at the end for him to think about during the week.
Oh, Jesus, here we go. All right, speaking of an absolute pearler, Pez, it will be another game that will really shape how the top 8 pans out. Brisbane $1.42 favourites against Carlton Blues $2.90 outsiders. Minus 14.5 is the line. Over under 176. Pez, Brisbane at home, you'd have to say they get the job done, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You'd have to say they've got to bounce back. They're playing at home. They're comfortable down there. You said they've only lost one this season here. So what I've done is I've gone a 3-leg same game multi. I've gone for a little bit of value and a little bit of odds because I'm up 77 units source. So I'm trying to have a little bit of fun. And a little bit of fun here is Brisbane minus 14.5 with the $2 line. So the $2 line makes that an even better bet. Over 145 with the alternate and Cam Rayner to pop up and kick a goal. Whether he plays midfield or whether he goes up forward, took a really strong mark last week at the MCG and kicked a nice goal. So hopefully he can do something like that again up at the Gabba. $25 stake, which is the unit here. We have $3.43 source with lads.
Yeah, I actually really, really like that bet, Pez, because I've done something almost identical. I have gone with the line. I've gone with... Oh, no, I haven't actually. Sorry, wrong bet. I've steered clear with this one, Pez. Steered clear.
Beautiful. The other one I was tossing up with was Lincoln McCarthy, but him for a goal isn't much value, but him for 2 goals, I think it was about 220. So if you want to have a bit of a punt and a bit of a risk, Lincoln McCarthy for 2.
Pez, I like this game. I like the line. I like the not even the alternate total points. I think the 176 is quite low, and I think if you can pick any of those goal scorers about the $1.30 for Brisbane, they're going to pile it on and love the odds. Haven't bet on them specifically in this game, but they are in my multi pairs. $1.42 for Brisbane at home, a team that should be sitting top 4 after a win last week. Yeah,
They need it. They need it.
Love it.
But Carlton need it as well, which makes it the end of the AFL season so good.
Yeah, but the Carlton are so depleted, Pez, that they're going to really struggle to string that together, and especially after a disappointing performance last week. Not in Brisbane. They don't have it. Don't have it, Pez.
Ticker.
All right. Speaking of ticker, Pez, we finish off the round with an absolute cracker. Head over to Perth for what will be Kennedy's last game, Pez, at SBS Stadium. West Coast taking on the Crows. $1.97 outsiders are West Coast. $1.87 favourites are the Crows. Minus 1.5 is the line. Over under 158.5, Pez. The question everyone's asking about this game, Pez, all the viewers want to hear your opinion, Pez. Who won the trade?
No one wants to hear about that. We're not talking about that shit. We will talk about the game, though. In Josh Kennedy's last game, maybe West Coast, they've shown glimpses of in games where they play 10 minutes, play 15 minutes, can actually pile on some goals. And can they do it against an Adelaide Crows side who are full of confidence going across from Adelaide Oval? But they have been known to, drop off in games and actually get smashed in a few. So this is a very flip of the coin type game. When the teams come out, I might lean one way or the other. I don't know who I'm going to tip yet. At the moment, leaning towards West Coast at home. But that can change at any minute. And I don't know if I'm even going to put a bet out at the end, but steering clear for me.
Yeah, Pez, I tend to agree. I think that you talked about ticker in the last one. I think that the Perth faithful will get out for this game. They'll pack that stadium. They will see off one of their legends, a premiership player.
They'll probably have the umpires
leading goal scorer for their club. He's kicked 700 odd goals. 293 games for them. A stellar career. There's rumours as well that Elliot Yeo could come back, make his return, which I think puts West Coast ahead of Adelaide just on form alone. Adelaide had their win last week. They'll put their cues in the rack and go, right, we got that last win. We've done our bit. West Coast will look for their win. I've gone them nothing in this game, but I've done my bonus bet that I talked about before with the multi. I've just paired them up with Port Adelaide, $1.67 and $2. My bonus bet on that one, that gives me odds of 334, which is just my bonus bet for the little multi there.
Okay. Yep. We'll take it. So your multi's done.
The bonus multi is done, yes, Bess.
Bonus multi's done. So you're going to have 2 multis. Excellent. I'll tell you my multi with a 3+ legs.
You've only got 1 multi?
Just 1 multi this week. Melbourne to win on Friday night at $1.40. I've had to put Geelong in there at $1.14. Not scared to bet against my own club source if it means trying to make money. And Brisbane at $1.42 against Carlton there. All up, that's $2.26. Just put the 2 units on at tab with 1 fails, get a bonus back.
Pez, that's an absolute rubbish multi because I've gone absolutely so much better than yours. Odds of 228, Melbourne, Geelong and Brisbane. Put 50 on it. 228, Pez. Kicked your ass with 2 cents. So let's hope that gets up, Pez. No joke. That is the exact same multi that I've done.
When did you put it on?
You're in trouble. It says here 16.52. So what's that?
4.52. Yeah, I'll put it on after you. So the price dropped after you put it on.
Oh, changing the markets, Pez.
Oh, moving markets.
Moving markets.
Behind the boundary. But,
hey, but Pez, that's really, really concerning for you. I haven't hit a multi in a while, so you're in strife.
That's ridiculous there. Now, I don't know if I've asked this on the pod before, Source, but
probably have.
I actually probably have. But we've got new listeners anyway, so it's all right. But something for you to think about. You don't have to answer now. I am going to sign off. But in the entire world, are there more cupboards or wheels? Think about that. You can give an answer next week. I'm Pez. Peace out.
There's more cupboards.
Oh, it's already got an answer.
Sorry, you signed off, mate. This is my time to
already
shine.
got an explanation.
Yeah, cupboards. Not everyone has a car.
A car?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Not everyone has a car.
I didn't say cars.
Car wheels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying cupboards?
What classifies as a cupboard?
Anything. That's a cupboard.
Anything? Well, then there's definitely
Anything
there's
that's a cupboard,
there's
idiot.
definitely more cupboards.
Anything that's a cupboard.
What's your definition of a cupboard?
What's your definition of a cupboard? You're the one answering the question.
You're the one asking the question.
Yeah.
This is great listening here.
What do you think? You think cupboards?
I think I need a classification of what cupboards are, because if a cupboard is a space that has a door that holds items in it, then there's definitely more cupboards.
So a door, if it holds items in a room, like an actual door,
No, that's not
that's
a cupboard.
not a cupboard.
But if it's like its own sort of structure, so like, I would say
A
like
linen cupboard is
linen
a cupboard.
a
Kitchen cupboards.
Kitchen cupboard.
Yep.
I'd say a
Pantry
pantry
is
is a cupboard.
cupboards, yep.
What about like a glove box?
Wardrobe's
Sort of
a
like
cupboard.
a cupboard, isn't it?
Glove box is not a cupboard, it's a glove box.
Because you don't have any gloves in there and you put like a beanie in there. It's exactly the same parameters as a cupboard.
It's a beanie box.
All right. I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time.
You think cupboards though?
I do think cupboards.
I just want you to think, you said people don't have a lot of cars.
Yeah, I realised that
Hot Wheels cars.
I realised halfway through that yeah, well then if it's the same thing for like toy houses. There's cupboards in houses.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think
Keep thinking.
I think
Keep
the answer
thinking.
is cupboards.
I think you need to think deeper about it.
Would you know the answer?
See you guys next week.
Do you know the answer?
I'm counting them this week. I'll get back to you.
All right, I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time. And as always, if you're having a punt, geez, don't listen here because you'll just find facts about cupboards and wheels.
Now you're gone.